Welcome to the Daniel Cleland podcast. Plant medicine. Entrepreneurship. Expat living. The Daniel Cleland podcast.
Radio. We are officially live, 101 proof, unadulterated, Cleland madness in the house. We've got, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Across the pond, across the ocean, several orders of latitude from north to south. We've got my kid sis, Catherine Cleland, on the call here. She is currently, where are you again? I almost forget.
I'm in London.
In London, drinking some tea, mate.
What did you say? I was Walkerton with a mix of a cup of tea.
Yeah, Catherine's got this unique accent going on. She spent a year or two in Australia and started calling people mate. And I mean, okay, so first of all, we grew up in Canada in a small community called Walkerton, Ontario, which had its own kind of unique NOG2VO, kind of had its own unique accent to it. And then Kat starts traveling and going around the world, ends up dating an Australian guy, spends a bunch of time in Australia, takes on this like tweaky Australian accent to mix with her Walkerton accent, and then moves over to London. And now she's got a little bit of UK on top of that Aussie Canadian accent. And so, yeah, made a comment the other day. It's like Walkerton with a cup of tea.
Yeah, I got it.
It's hardly noticeable. It's noticeable to me, but maybe not to everybody.
I don't think so. I think it's just you've known me your whole life, so you know.
Yeah. So when was the last time we talked?
Well, I tried talking to you the other day, but you were too busy putting your business back together, which is totally understandable. But before that, probably like 5 months.
Yeah. Sorry about that. That was like that week was a bit stressful because, as with everybody in the world right now, COVID, this ridiculous, annoying pandemic, has really messed with our lives here at Soltara. I mean, we've been shut down completely since March, and we've been, weathering the storm, trying to keep everything alive, trying to keep all the balls in the air, and finally making the preparations to get rolling again. Like we're, planning to open in November, and, we've been trying to decide on the dates and like, how do we do this properly? And, it's just been really, really hard and really stressful and frustrating. And as we're making plans to reopen, I watch a YouTube video with the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, giving a big, long speech to
Did he do one
the
of
Canadian
these?
public. I don't know. He's a bit of a pretty boy, I guess.
Yeah.
Ivanka Trump, that classic picture of Ivanka Trump eyeing him down.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So I watched this YouTube video, and I could just remember what it all sounded like in March when he was, speaking to the nation from his home and just, stay home, stay locked down. Everybody, we're in this together. Don't worry. Big brother government's here for you. If your business goes under, that's okay. We'll give you, 2,000 Canadian dollars for 3 months and your life is going to be fine, And so I start to see the same elements of that conversation emerging in this new conversation as they start talking about the second wave. And Canada really, I guess, took coronavirus seriously. And, there was never a major outbreak in Canada.
Yeah.
So, even just a little bit of uptick in cases, people are freaking out, particularly the government, because it almost becomes like a point of pride for these government officials. Like, oh, I'm the one that did well in coronavirus. So anyways, I start to see this kind of these elements coming out in his conversation to the nation. And following that one, all of the other leaders of all the other political parties in Canada came on and started saying a lot of the same things, like, oh, our party's here, going to help you through these difficult times and everything. And I'm just like, you sons of bitches, are you planning to go into lockdown again? Like, are you preparing me for another lockdown? Just like sowing the seeds, getting my mind ready for you guys to say, well, now we've got, 500 cases a day in Canada, so we have to lock our borders. We have to shut down. We have to close all your businesses. And like in that case, after holding on here for 7 months with zero revenue, trying to, keep our employees paid to a minimum degree and, keep food on everybody's table and keep the lights on and everything. If he would have come at me with another lockdown, I'm just thinking like, dude, I can't handle this. I can't handle another lockdown.
And that's the time I was calling you, and you were
right. So you weren't the only one that I was snappy with that week. I was snappy with Dad. For those of you who don't know, my dad's a partner and a major animating force at Soltara. So I was just kind of for a couple of days just really stressed out, really annoyed, and basically anybody who crossed my path at that time didn't see the best side of me. So, I'm like in the middle of a call, sorting through all these, messages on my business messages on my phone and in the middle of the day. And a call came in from Catherine, which any other time is great, but like she's in London. So she's like relaxed after work, having dinner. And I'm like right smack dab in the middle of my day. And it was just...
I'm just being annoying.
No. Well, anyways, here we are. I'm now, I'm starting this new podcast, and I wanted to do a couple of test runs. And I thought, what better time to catch up with my kid sister than on a test run for the podcast? So here we are.
Here we are.
We've got all the time in the world.
Exactly.
Get two birds stoned at once.
I'll take it.
Definitely. So there's a preamble. So what's going on? How are you?
I'm good. It's been a strange year for me. I was put on furlough, which is the British way of saying employment insurance.
Furlough?
Yeah.
That furlough is a British way of saying furlough?
Yeah. So Dan gave you a bit of a background. I left Walkerton at 18, did the whole typical sort of conventional way of going through university for 4 years. And then after university, I moved to Toronto, where I got a typical office job working in a law firm, being an executive assistant. And after that, I started working at a gold mining company, working in HR. And I got to a point, I think I can remember the exact day that I was like, fuck this. I was walking through a wind tunnel in Toronto. And the wind tunnels are the high buildings where the wind comes through and just gusts through and you can feel it right into your bones. It's horrible. Middle of winter. I think this was January. And I was like, I'm going to move to Australia because this sucks. And Dan had lived there for a bit, so he talked it up a lot. He lived
our whole
Australia.
family. We're all vagabonds. We've all given up on Canada and cold climates, more specifically.
I do still love Canada. Just the winters are a bit extreme. So yeah, I moved to Australia for 3 years, lived in Sydney with my now fiance, Jack. And we actually decided um, fairly early on into Sydney that we wanted to take like a 2-year sabbatical to travel. Um, a lot of my inspiration, actually, as you know, came from you, Dan. Um, Mostly because you did it, and I sort of saw from example the benefits you got from it, and I just sort of established the fact that I was more a priority for me was more to feel like I was living an inspired and interesting life rather than feeling like I was like ticking the boxes of success that a lot of my friends were motivated by at that age.
You got your whole life to do that, you know?
Yeah. And
Later
I
on in
read
life, you
that
can
book
do all
by
that
Tim
stuff.
Ferriss, The 4 Hour Work Week, which you recommended. And I just remember thinking, this guy knows what's up. It's not the whole, live your life post retirement. Like we live our life now. And yeah, like it's one of the best things I ever did. And Jack would say the same thing. We traveled, we went to 16 countries over 2 years. Did 4 weeks per country. So we actually got a feel for the culture and like properly traveled and experienced it. And all along the way, I was blogging and taking notes and updating my audience with um, stories of what we were experiencing and travel tips and reflections and what it's like to leave everything behind and only have a backpack. And that's, trying to budget. I mean, we spent about 80,000 Canadian over 18 months. So we were definitely being mindful of our spending. And that was a huge lesson in itself. And then after that, yeah, we ran out of money naturally. And we then decided where can we both live, being from Australia and Canada, where we can make some money but still travel. So London was the appealing option because we were Commonwealth, and if you're under 30 and part of the Commonwealth, you can get a 2-year working visa and work anywhere without any restrictions. So we thought that sounds like a good idea. We applied from Greece, spent 6 weeks in Greece, learned how to sail there, all while we were waiting on our visa to be approved. Our visa was approved within a few weeks, and we moved to London, where we've been now for 3 years, and both have a 4-year visa at the moment. So we have
You
4
have,
more
sorry,
years.
how many year visa?
4 years.
4 years.
So we've been here for 3, and we were on the Commonwealth visa for 2 years. Then we got onto the sponsorship visa, which is 5, and we're already finished one of those years. So we have 4 more on our visa if we want to stay and stick it out.
What are you thinking?
Well, I go back and forth. I think anyone who has been a bit of an expat, and I'm sure you can relate to this yourself, but when you go home and you see your friends and family, and especially our sister Megan has had a little boy and a little girl, Hugh and Isla, and seeing them just it's a different kind of joy that you get, and it feels kind of sad to miss them growing up. But um, at the same time, my kind of spirit longs for being somewhere that's kind of exciting and adventurous, and that's why I'm torn, because while the people I love are in Canada, and probably the people that fill my soul and nourish my soul from a relationship perspective, um, the kind of like eager, ambitious, and adventurous sort of wanderer is
Curious
more
wanderer, if you
curious
will.
wanderer. Exactly. I'm more inclined to stay in London, and same with Jack. One, partially because just the lifestyle here. You get 5 weeks paid leave. Um, you get paid well. We're getting paid in pounds, so that helps. Um, and we both found good jobs. I'm working for a private equity firm. a family office that's high net worth. So I'm treated very fairly. And Jack's moved up the ladder in construction management, and he's had two of the biggest jobs of his whole career, building, doing the fit outs for commercial buildings, one being Goldman Sachs as of lately. So the next one coming, I believe, is the Apple building. So he's smashing it at the moment. So there's really no reason for us to go.
Smashing it. That's an interesting expression. I'm curious to know, does that come from Australia or England?
Or is it just my weird saying? I don't know.
I think crushing it is more of a North American thing.
Killing it. Yeah. He's killing it.
Smashing it works. I like that. It's very it's visceral. It's
that's what Jack says after he goes to his CrossFit workouts. Yeah.
Smashing it like implies more of like a picking something up and
putting it down,
throwing it down aggressively. So yeah, crushing it is more like stepping on it,
okay.
But smashing it, that's just next level.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. Crushing it then. He's crushing it. So there's really no reason for us to leave at this point, and I don't think we're going to for, at least a couple more years and then reevaluate. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, if I may comment on that, you're how old? 32 right now?
Mm-hmm.
31?
32.
Just turned 32 this year?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, all of those things you talked about, the things that you value, the family life and the stability in the family and the kind of the, I guess, settling down aspect of life, that will be there for a long time. But what you've got now are the last few years where you and Jack can basically still be expats and nomads and kind of travel around and do that. Like, speaking from what I've experienced, I love that life. I love that lifestyle of being just like self-contained, go anywhere, anytime, go out and meet people and, take flights and, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
That is awesome and was awesome. But like now I'm going on 39 this month, and it's like
39?
Yes.
Wow.
I know. Just 1 year left. So like my last year, I'm going to try to squeeze a little bit more out of that. But even right now, I still have like sometimes on a few of the last trips I've gone on, I've like had the interest in doing all that. Like in theory, it sounds amazing and adventurous and all that. But then when I get on the road and I get rolling, and it's like, you encounter all of the inconveniences and the uncertainty and the hiccups and the, from time to time, a poor customer service experience, or just you have high expectations from one hotel and you get there and it's not living up to your expectations, or, it always sounds better than what it is. And I find myself wanting to just naturally go back to the more stable lifestyle that I've created here in Costa Rica, I've got a wonderful girlfriend here, we've got our business, a place to live. I spend most of my time, as a homebody, and that I think is just a natural progression that takes place for the majority, even of us adventurous expats. It's a natural progression that takes place over time. And you're kind of getting, in my opinion, you're getting to the end of that desire to even do that. So, maybe if you guys live out your visa at that point, maybe, you guys just got engaged, then congratulations.
Thank you.
But, maybe in another 4 years, maybe you won't even wanna stay there for 4 years doing that. Like, maybe, at that point, all of the kind of adventurous, curious wanderer has been exercised.
Yeah.
And, so I'm just saying, like, if you still have those urges, you might as well do it now,
Yeah.
because the other stuff, that's what you spend the next 40 years doing. Kids, family
Yeah.
functions,
Yeah.
watching kids grow up, doing school, like, doing all that stuff. You got, and the career thing that you mentioned, where you're climbing the success ladder and
Mm.
everything, start doing that when you're 40.
Yeah.
You're not going to miss anything in the career world, but you start doing that when you're 25 or 30, or 20, then what you miss are those like precious years
Yeah.
that you never get back, that are very much finite, right? And
Yeah.
that's where you kind of get this experience that you basically can only get when you're young.
Yeah. Well, your travel experience is the part of the reason why you have built a center. Like when you were going through New Mexico, was it that you first tried ayahuasca, right?
Yeah. Um,
And that was kind of what inspired you to start all of this, no?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would not be able to run this business, Soltara Healing Center. I would not have been able to build it up over the past, 10 years or so, if I hadn't gone out and had all those hard knocks abroad and spent all that time getting to know like every layer of the culture, from, grimy like slum streets to five-star hotels and everything in between in South America. And
Mm.
I did that as an adventurer, kind of putting myself at risk, and just out of interest sake, because I crave that adventure. But at the same time, it gave me the kind of real life experience that predicated what I do here.
Yeah.
So, whereas like now, if I think about doing that all over again right now, I don't think I could with who I am right now. I don't think I'd want to go do all that over again. It would just seem like a huge hassle and a
Yeah.
lot of inconvenience. But then like it was this big adventure, and I was just enjoying pushing myself to different experiential limits
Yeah.
abroad. So all I'm saying, my point is, you never know where that's going to lead,
Mhm.
right? And the key takeaway is follow your heart and do what you want when you want to do it,
Yeah.
especially when you're young, because when you're young, like that's the time when you are finding your life path, right?
Yeah.
And you find your life path by trying a whole bunch of things, getting knocked around a little bit,
Yeah.
hopefully not as much as
I
as
think
I
the
did,
I
but
think the risk too, and this is what I've observed with some of my friends, or not even friends, but acquaintances. Um, if you if you don't take risks early in life and you become really comfortable in like a secure path and the predictability of a path, you're less likely to embrace it later on in life. And I just have seen people stay in the same situation because they fear leaving that security. And that was one thing that you taught me never to listen to, that voice in your head saying you should fear the unknown. Like what if, like when Jack and I went on our 2-year sabbatical, it was, what if we can't get good jobs after this? What if we lose all our money? What if we're homeless? What if nobody wants to hire us after taking so much time off work? There were so many things that we could have latched on to not do that. And we didn't listen to that because we knew it's exactly what we wanted to do. And we were the most alive when we were on the road. We went um, backpacking through Southeast Asia. We took motorbikes across from the south of Vietnam to the north of Vietnam. We we hiked to Annapurna base camp in the Himalayas. We traveled Eastern Europe, and we took a van across the US with a mattress in the back, like parking and using the washroom at Walmart's parking lots, 24-hour parking lots. And these are the sort of things that have shaped who we are, and also have given us all these experiences that have molded us. And if I didn't have those, I just feel like everything would be so dull. And those experiences that people miss from staying in secure environments and secure jobs, and just, yeah, like I said, the predictability of life, they end up wishing that they had done that.
Yeah, and they end up wishing that when they're 50 years old or 60
Yeah.
years old, and once divorced with, with 3 kids in high school, that 3 ungrateful bastards in high school that they're supporting, and and with absolutely no chance to do it at that point.
Yeah.
You know.
And the funny thing is about that is all those fears that people had for us, or even just the things that they might think about themselves that prevent them from taking those kind of risks, like leaving everything behind and packing your bags and just saying, let's see how this goes. We got a job. We came to London broke. Yeah, it took a little bit of time. It took 4 or 5 weeks for us to find a job. We had to, do an exchange of accommodation for some maintenance around a house when we arrived, because we were broke. And it was a struggle. But it took us, we accumulated like $20,000 in debt, something like that, which isn't that bad after having such a long 2-year adventure. But the point being, we got jobs, and we got good jobs, and we got sponsored, and we're still here. And now I'm making the same salary as a lot of my friends, maybe even more than some of my friends who, stayed on that path of security. And so I guess it's just proof in the pudding that you can still take risks and still do these things that your heart is like yearning for, and still end up on top if you really believe in yourself. And if you're ambitious and driven, that's all it takes.
Absolutely. And there's a lot to be said about exponential principle here, which I'll touch on in a second. But what you were commenting on regarding finding a job and employment, and your concerns and everybody else's concerns about, well, if you go on this trip, you might set your career back or whatever. As an employer, and, of an international business, and as an international business, we employ people from all over the world here at Soltara. And the things that I value, actually, one of those things is the ability to organize and execute the type of experience that you organize and executed. You weren't just bumming around and not working for 2 years. There's a difference between slacking off for 2 years and what you guys did, which was save up. You worked for years. You worked your asses off. You cut expenses, which shows diligence and self-restraint and discipline, right? And you saved up a bunch of money before going out. Now, how many people can even do that is a very small percentage of the general public who can actually work for a couple of years and save up $80,000. Very, very uncommon. And then the style of travel that you did, being able to have a dream is a very important talent, to have a dream, to have imagination, and to hold on to that for 2 years while you're going through that suffering phase of saving your money, not going out on the weekends when you want to.
Watching
you guys are in your
Netflix.
20s. Right? I mean, you're in your 20s, your friends are going out partying, probably taking drugs, probably drinking a lot, taking Molly, going to whatever club, the government, and you guys were saving up and saying no to those things
Mm,
in order to bank the money to live out your dream. Now, if you can do that for any purpose, for any dream you have, that's such a huge and uncommon talent. And then when you go out and you actually execute that travel, you showed restraint the whole time. I mean, I traveled with you on a couple different occasions. You guys weren't throwing cash around, like you lived fine. You found nice places to stay. You went out for
Yeah.
dinner, you enjoyed yourselves,
Yeah.
but you're always,
We weren't
conscious of how much
splurging.
money you,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
you understood that, you had a dream, you had a plan, you had a monthly
Mm,
budget, you needed to stick to that budget. I mean,
yeah.
what's different between that and running a business?
Yeah.
Right. And every day you were there making decisions about what to do. And you always went for the cultural experience,
Mm,
the hike, or
yeah.
going to experience some element of the culture,
Yeah.
learn a new skill, go diving,
Yeah. Yeah.
and expand your repertoire of experience, which shows that you have grit and character. And that not only, does that build character, but that whole 4-year endeavor in total between saving and traveling proves an incredible amount of discipline and integrity and motivation and self-motivation, self-driven capacity, because nobody was there holding your hand doing it except the
Mm,
two of you.
yeah.
Right.
It's
So
true.
now if I'm an employer and I see somebody come to me who just finished, you come to me, as you said, you were out of cash, you were in debt, you were looking for a new job, you're in a new place. In some cases that can look bad, if you have a 2-year break on your resume,
Mm,
but, um, the fact that, you're able to describe that whole endeavor is like, to me, that just shows me that like, whoa, okay, this person has a lot of really valuable, even if maybe you don't have a lot of experience with the particular technical skills I might need you for in that particular
mm,
role. That shows me that you have a lot of the soft skills and personality traits that, one, make a good employee, and two, show a lot of promise for future entrepreneurship, right? Taking on spearheading projects, coming
mm,
up with creative
yeah.
ideas,
Yeah. For sure.
and leading a team of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you.
So
Not
for
everybody
all you kids
praises
out
these
there who
things.
are, yeah,
Yeah.
for all you kids out there who are listening to your parents tell you, not to follow your heart because you might not get a job, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly. I mean,
just do
that's
it.
not to say that it's not okay. It's okay to not want to do that as well.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
not
Absolutely.
everybody
Yeah.
wants to do that, and that's totally fine. Um, and some people love being at home. Some people love the safe life. Like, some people thrive off that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just knew that for me, it just didn't feel right. Something didn't sit right about staying in Toronto and doing the secure path. I wanted something that challenged me, and I wanted to leave everything I knew behind, and it basically shaped who I am now. And not only that, but a lot of lessons, a lot of lessons on the road. Like you said, not just cultural experiences and trying different foods and meeting different people, but like you're really finding out who you are. And I know that sounds really cliche, and everybody says, you're someone's out finding who they are kind of in a condescending way, but the truth is you are doing things that help you remove the barriers that keep you from seeing who you are. It's like a chance to remove any kind of programming or any kind of belief systems that you have about yourself that you might have not have even chosen for yourself, more just something that you like assumed over social expectation or roles in your peer groups and these sort of things. Like, you actually get to question that, and you get to explore that, and there's no one that has any expectation of what you are. Instead, you yourself are deciding who you are and what you are.
Who
And
you
I
are is
think,
who you show up as every day.
yeah, and you see what who you're like without any kind of influence from anyone else. And that's why that sort of cliche term of going to find yourself is so relevant and true, because that really is what you're doing when you're living an expat nomadic life. Um, you just get to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, if you grow up in this kind of the same cultural circumstances perpetually,
Yeah.
you never actively change that. It's your self conception, your self concept, your self image, who you who you view yourself to be is not independent from your surroundings. It's very much enmeshed with your surroundings,
Mhm.
right? Who you are in part is the relationships that you have, the history that you've had, the language that you use, um, the the habits and patterns that you act on every single day. And in a way, you're not independent from your environment. You are like a part of your environment.
Mm.
And then when you go on a trip like what you did, and there's a difference between going on a holiday and
Yeah.
going and traveling, right? When
Yeah.
you go on a holiday, you don't really break out of your own bubble. You don't really break out of your kind of cultural uh image,
Mm.
especially if you travel with people who carry that with you. But
Yeah.
when you go traveling, you now become an independent vessel moving through uncertainty.
Yeah.
You are moving through uncertain, unknown,
Yeah. Territory.
unfamiliar
Yeah.
territory.
Yeah.
And now that vessel that you have become is unbound by any cultural baggage that you're carrying.
Mm.
Everything is now only within you. You've
Yeah.
separated yourself from all of those links. And through that process of navigating unfamiliar territory just as that kind of singular vessel, then one, you lose a lot of the cultural baggage that you
Yeah.
acquire over time, but two, you gain different things as well. You can now pick and choose aspects of your personality that are gained through personal experience in different scenarios,
Yeah.
right? And
Definitely.
then you become much more self-contained, self-aware,
Mm.
and self-awareness is such an important quality for for having that success
Yeah.
along life's path, right? To really
Oh,
know
for
who you
sure.
are and be confident in that. And
Yeah.
if you can do that through testing yourself on the road in different landscapes, there's just no better way to do it except for maybe plant medicines.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely feel like that has helped me, especially in times of suffering. Like if I feel like I'm suffering from um, any kind of hardships that are going on, whether it be things in the family or things with Jack, or just like being lonely as an expat, just or just being let down or disappointed or taking criticism, anything that I feel like there's any kind of suffering coming up inside of me, um, I feel like traveling has helped me to be able to react and no, not react, but more respond to that suffering. And in turn, through being able to sort of understand a bigger picture, which has been helpful for through things, not only just travel, but I also did a 10-day Vipassana, which is 10 days silent meditation in Thailand. And I did ayahuasca in Peru with you, um, and a few different things that you could name as is spiritual. Um, that has helped me be able to move through some of these things after the travel, and it has stayed with me. It wasn't just temporary while I was on the road. It has stayed with me into my, professional years in London, and often I hear people say like to me that you have such a calm nature about you, and you seem to not um, let things get to you. That's often what I hear feedback
Yeah,
from other
people say that
people.
a lot about me too.
Yeah, you need some of my Zen,
Just
bro.
kidding.
But yeah, I think basically a lot of that came from the lessons I learned on the road, and I think that in itself is invaluable because it's helping me move through the world now in my adult life.
So you mentioned doing ayahuasca with me.
Yeah.
Why don't we dig into that? And my my audience here obviously has at least some interest in ayahuasca and plant medicines.
Hmm.
Do you want me to set the stage, or do you want to set the
Yeah. No,
stage?
you go ahead, set the stage. You're the one that brought me there. So,
All right. So we go back a ways here. This was in 2010 or 11, right? 2011 it was.
2011. Yeah.
2011. So in August of 2010, I had my first ayahuasca ceremony. And that was like an entry into a new world for me. It was an extremely powerful ceremony, and it really opened up this kind of new life for me. And I got very enthusiastic about it. So I started moving more in that direction, right? And continued on that path. My second round of medicine was the next year in 2011. I went to go work at a center in Peru. This Some people might remember the center called Chimbre, and it was an interesting place. I won't get into the details just yet, but because of my enthusiastic promotion of ayahuasca, um, I just thought everybody in the world needed to do it at that time. You know, I was
Yeah.
very enthusiastic about it, and so I convinced my baby sister Catherine to come meet me in Peru at the center where I was working. And you at that time must have been like early
21.
20s,
Yeah. 21.
21, 22. And, I was not a ayahuasca professional at that time. I was just, getting my feet wet. So maybe not quite as responsible with things as what we are here at Soltara. But so Catherine comes with a friend, do a ceremony. And how did it go?
Funnily enough, I've been traveling around the world, and people always still just want to know two things when I tell them my travel stories. And one is, what was ayahuasca like? And the other is, what was doing a 10-day silent Vipassana like? So it's pretty funny because that's what a lot of people are curious about um, in general. But it was, um, well, firstly, I would say I was ill prepared for it, not my brother's doing, my own doing. Um, I hadn't done any research on the medicine. So I knew that Dan had a life-changing experience, and I watched some sort of trailer about ayahuasca that, it changes your life, and that was enough to inspire me to be like, "Oh, I guess I'll go down to the jungle and have a cup of it and see what happens." Um, I also didn't, follow any of the fasting and cutting out alcohol and toxins before you do it. And I really just didn't know what was coming for me. So I didn't have the tools to move through some of the scary parts of doing ayahuasca, which is, feeling kind of like out of control, and strong hallucinations, and vomiting, and things like that. So that doesn't sound very pleasant, but um, the experience itself, I did do the ceremony with the shaman, drank actually a quite large portion of ayahuasca. I think it was a whole coffee mug full.
So
Um,
just to add some context there, this this shaman, and he referred to himself as a shaman at this place, he was not cautious at all about dosing. There was no like, oh, this person needs this much, this person needs that much. It was everybody gets a coffee cup full of ayahuasca. And the scenario that people drank in was going into a tambo alone, so a little wooden hut, just screen, no
mm,
bathroom, no bed, no toilet, just like a little hut in the jungle by yourself, and gulping down this massive cup full of ayahuasca. And as a novice,
yeah,
Catherine had a pretty strong experience.
yeah. So I was firstly I just drank it and I had my little camera at the time and Canon camera and I was just like, oh well, I just drank a cup of ayahuasca. I guess I'll see what happens. Um, no, I didn't go in with any intentions or anything like that. I just sort of went in, and you would think maybe having no fear and no expectations could be a good thing, and maybe it is in some aspects, but in terms of like moving through the process of ayahuasca, it would have been helpful to have a better understanding on it. So that's definitely what I will do the next time. Um, but yeah, I first started seeing some visuals on the floorboards and the jungle started becoming 3D, and that led into some really potent, strong hallucinations. Mostly it was visuals of my ex-boyfriend, which sounds really silly at the time because I was in my early 20s, but I had a breakup with my university boyfriend and it sort of, you know, affected my confidence and I thought about it all the time. And even though it wasn't anything that was overly serious, I think we were only together a year, it seemed to impact my self-esteem and well-being and just like how I existed in the world at the time. So I essentially started seeing my ex from university become like a demon and moving in and out of kind of like a poisonous skull face, and he had fangs and he was like frowning at me with like hatred, um, and it scared the shit out of me basically. I was very very concerned for one, feeling very very high and out of my body, and two, seeing these very scary visuals, not
And this
knowing.
was your first psychedelic experience, correct?
Yeah, exactly. I hadn't done
Unless
mushrooms
you
or acid
consider
or anything like that at the time, which I've done now, but,
you
um
had you had experienced MDMA before then, or
yeah,
no?
yeah, I have. But and I kind
But
of thought,
nothing
"No,
hallucinogenic.
no."
Yeah.
And I kinda thought, "Oh, I've tried MDMA, like, I'm fine," and I was fine, you know? But that was a very naive approach because they're just two completely different things. Um, and my visuals were very, very strong. Like I'm talking like as if you know the way I'm seeing you right now on the screen. That's how I was seeing the visuals of faces in my hallucinations. And beyond that, it was also a lot of colors and a lot of that those eyes that stare at you. Um, but the main thing that was scary was this demon, my boyfriend, who was like a demon and clearly not good for me. Um, but on top of that, I kind of felt concerned with how shaken up and high I was, which I was sort of lost. Can I be quite honest? Or
Yeah, I mean, just to add a little more context
yeah,
before you get lost. So this shaman, who's now in jail, by the way, for malpractice, he used to mix Toei with his ayahuasca brew. So Toei is a master plant that is commonly used in the curanderismo in Peru and the Amazon, but it is a dark plant. It's a dark energy, and it can make the hallucinations seem really kind of otherworldly and demonic, and much stronger. And that's exactly why this person was putting it in the brew, to make the ayahuasca very strong in a visual way. Like, the visions were super intense.
Mm,
Some of the most powerful visions I've ever had were with that brew.
mm,
But they're a little different. They're darker. They're a little bit more crazy,
yeah,
all consuming. So just to
yeah,
give some context there.
yeah. And funnily enough, I've rarely hear that this is the experience of anyone else who's tried ayahuasca. And if they do have a dark experience, it seems to be not quite as heavy as mine was. Um, but I moved through it, and it lasted, I think, how long were we down there, Dan? Like 6 or 7 hours, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Um,
started the ceremonies at about 5:30 p.m., and the shaman would do about a 30-minute ceremony and sing and call the spirits, and
yeah,
that was it, and then give you a cup of ayahuasca. And we had to walk down to the jungle,
yeah. Done this really
down a bunch of
steep.
stairs
Yeah.
with the ayahuasca in our hand, and then get to our little tambo and then drink it.
Mm,
And
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't recall what time we got up, but it was definitely
It was a long,
late.
yeah, it was a
Yeah.
long journey. Um, and Dan actually didn't drink ayahuasca that night. So Dan, luckily for me, was kind of outside my, what are they called? The things
Tambos.
the tambos.
Yeah.
And he was sort of guiding me through it and talking me through it and helping me like understand that it was normal to sort of feel the things that I was going through, which is amazing. And like it was so helpful that he was there, because I would have probably been quite scared otherwise, more
Yeah.
scared than I
I had
would
San
thought he
Pedro that
was.
night. I didn't drink
Yeah,
ayahuasca. I had a cup of
yeah,
San Pedro.
yeah, which isn't as intense. Um, but coming out of it, I remember seeing sort of like darkness and these visuals, and I think there was some zombie like visuals at one point, but it was going in and out of seeing my sister Emily, her face in the sunlight, smiling at me, um, and looking at me with a lot of love. So I was going in and out of seeing this sort of like darkness and feeling like like disliked and hated, to seeing visuals of Emily where like I knew there was so much love there. And I really feel in those visuals anyways, her energy and love pulled me out of those kind of dark visuals I was seeing. And then in the end, it sort of got kind of fun at the end of it, because you're rolling out of being in the middle of the high, and then it sort of got a bit fun. And Dan and Brooke, my friend who did it with me, one of my best friends, she came down with me. She was also coming out of it, so we were sort of getting in a better place at that point. And then it wasn't actually till a couple days after that I started really feeling and noticing the benefits, um, and realizing that actually, while it was quite traumatic and felt a bit like an exorcism at the time, um, I moved through stuff that was in my subconscious that I didn't even know was there, and I left it behind. And I shed some subconscious memories and trauma that affected my day-to-day life that I didn't even know was. So in the end, I felt like I came out winning, because not only did I feel like I was rid of it, but I now felt like this clarity of what I wanted and who I was, and that was just those thoughts and the energy I was putting into that was no longer serving me. And I genuinely knew that. Instead of just telling myself that, I knew it. And that was really powerful at the time, really powerful. I know I was only 20, 21 or 22, but at the time it was very important for me. And I haven't done it since, but it was one of the most important things I've ever done. including that along with the 10 days of silence.
That is really unfortunate, though. The the field of ayahuasca healing back then was much, much different than what it
Mm,
is now.
mm,
Much, much different. There was no talk of integration or preparation.
yeah.
Um, there was diet, but yeah, I think you know, setting the expectations and setting the stage for a rough experience like what you had physically and mentally challenged, you were almost not you're almost not prepared for it. Um,
Mm,
so perhaps, when you come back, because you're coming back to Soltara
mm.
in
December.
December, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, if I
Provide
can.
everything goes well.
Hmm.
We're opening in a few weeks, so we're definitely looking forward to having you. But I'm really going to be interested to see how you can compare and contrast the difference between these two experiences. One that was kind of super like Wild West and traumatic
Yeah.
for you with no real container,
Yeah.
that like there was just no real process behind it. Not to mention it was done in a facility that was just very hands off and very, you fight your own way through it.
Yeah.
And then, coming to Soltara where, we have learned from all those mistakes of practitioners over the past 10 years as the field has really blown up. And we've designed a program that, the goal is to be leading practitioners in every area. So,
Mm.
we've got this whole kind of preparation and integration program that we engage people in when they come. And then the actual process, the ceremonial process is much more hands-on, let's say.
Mm.
We have very well contained space. The container's safe, it feels safe, and we have a high facilitator to guest ratio. So, you're gonna definitely feel a lot different
Yeah. And you don't mix
here.
it with that other ingredient,
We
right?
don't mix it with
Yeah.
Toei. It's just pure ayahuasca vine, BCAP, and chacruna leaf,
Yeah.
Psychotria viridis.
And you monitor the dosages, which is not what this place did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we get people ready, and it's more of it's just a gentler entry point
Yeah.
to the week, it's just not just dropping you in the deep end and saying learn how to swim or die,
Yeah.
So
No,
it'll be interesting to see how you and Jack respond. And Jack, your fiance, has never experienced the
no,
medicine.
no. Yeah, he's looking forward to it, definitely. I think he's a little nervous naturally, because he knows of my experience, which I think kind of is kind of scary to a lot of people who hear it. But in general, I would do it again because I still, even though it took me through some hardships in the process, I still got the rewards,
Right.
So
Cool. And you guys just got engaged.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
you're now coming to drink ayahuasca together as newly engaged partners. So
Yeah.
hopefully you don't get any more visions of Jack turning into a vampire and trying to kill you.
Yeah, God, that would be bad.
that would be less than ideal.
Fuck.
From Jack's perspective.
Hopefully he doesn't get those of me either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Woman vampire.
I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. We're really looking forward to having you. I am. You're actually the first person from my family. You're the only person from our family who has ever actually drank medicine
Yeah.
with me. Even my dad, who's been working with me on this project for 3 years, He still hasn't made it in for a ceremony.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he actually needs it though, to be honest. He's doing the medicine work by helping to bring this place to life and helping to keep it afloat. So
Wow. Yeah, he'll decide if he wants to, if he feels called to it. Yeah.
Yeah. I've definitely changed my perspective on trying to convince people to do medicine. I never do that anymore. I mean, if it calls you, absolutely. I think it's highly beneficial, but I'm not going to try to, I used to just try to convince everybody to do it because I just believed in it so much. But, and I think that's another cautionary tale for people who just get into the work, because the more you go out and tell the whole world they need to drink ayahuasca, and you just talk about your crazy visions to people who don't want to hear it, the more you actually alienate yourself and turn people off.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So why don't we leave it there, and we can link up again here in the studio with both you and Jack when you guys are here at Soltara. We'll get the mics hooked up and we'll have an
do a
in-person, do the follow-up, the trip report. We'll do the trip report.
Yeah, the comparing of, ayahuasca 10 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds good.
Exactly.
And
so was that enough catch-up for you, Catherine?
That was a good catch-up. Although, I think people will want to know, because that's what everyone asks me when I tell them you have an ayahuasca retreat. How many times have you done ayahuasca yourself? And do you still do ayahuasca fairly often?
Well, I stopped counting probably after about 25 ceremonies.
Yeah.
But, I definitely have probably done a couple hundred ceremonies over the years. I don't actually do much ayahuasca anymore. From time to time, I will, a few times a year. But, the real benefit that I got from ayahuasca was like helping me find my path and helping me become more self-aware and self-confident and to really feel confident that the mental challenges I went through in a lot of those really hard ceremonies are like practice runs for life. So it gave me a lot more confidence to take on projects that I knew might be really difficult and would have to like keep my mind in the game for, extended periods of time.
Yeah.
But right now, I feel really comfortable with where I'm at. Like I'm on the path, I'm doing good work. I'm taking on as much as I possibly can handle, but I'm not doing it in an unhealthy way. I've managed to find the formula to keep my habits and consumption downfalls in check, and just generally feel pretty good in life. So why would I drink ayahuasca regularly unless I was looking to fix something?
Yeah. It's kind of like a jump start in life, and you got that.
Well, I mean, the difference between a treatment and a cure is that you have to keep taking the treatment, right?
Yeah.
And I think that it's a good thing that ayahuasca has had permanent developmental effects on me, so that I don't need to keep. It's not like if I don't drink it for 6 months, I just go totally backward.
Yeah.
You know, like I've made progress. That progress is locked in.
Yeah.
And I feel very much independent and capable of executing on the things that I feel are the right moves for me to execute on. So
definitely.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not drinking every weekend. I'm drinking as needed or as I want to, or sometimes when we get, we work with different types of healer, a different rotation. We work on a rotation of healers. So we have different pairs of maestros and maestras come in. And, some of them I really enjoy drinking with. And, they come in and I'm a musician, and some of them just have this incredible musical talent.
Yeah.
right? I'm a wannabe musician. Let me correct
No,
myself.
you're a musician for sure.
But I do appreciate good musical talent, and some of the healers who work with us are just absolutely incredible in the ceremony. It's like going to a rock concert.
Cool.
So, you know, and they stick with you the whole ceremony.
Yeah.
The whole ceremony.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I don't drink a ton, but still a few times a year.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to say you got to be one of the most resilient people I've ever known in terms of just like persevering when things get tough. Like, honestly, you are. It's pretty impressive.
Well, you know, my philosophy is you're not allowed to quit until you win or until you're dead. So, you know, I haven't died
You're
yet.
proving that. Yeah, you're proving that. Yeah, I guess in touching on that, I do remember when you were making drawings in Peru when we did ayahuasca together, about, you know, your first center, which you built in Peru. But now that you've built one in Peru, had that for 5 years, sold it, and now you've built your dream retreat in Costa Rica, like, I just think it's so impressive that you made your dreams come to fruition. And knowing you for, you know, well, knowing you all my life, obviously, you've developed a lifestyle around what you want in life. Like, you love nature, you love the ocean, you love the jungle, you love business, you love having, you know, a bit of nightlife and atmosphere. So you have an apartment in San Jose, and you love animals, and you have dogs and cats and all of these interesting birds and wildlife at your doorstep. And I see you doing these hikes, and you have a music room. You're a musician. You love playing the guitar with your best. You have your bestie Jessie from childhood there with you. You know, you love eating well, sitting right beside you. You love eating well. You love going to the gym. You've built a gym. Like, for me, and for a lot of people, I'm sure listening, it's just so impressive. And you are just such a good example of someone who really has made their dreams come true. And you've showed everyone that it's possible. And I just think that's really inspiring.
Thanks, Kath. I appreciate that. I really do. And you know, I really get inspired and excited when I think about the possibilities that we all could have if we just put in the vision, put in the execution, make the plan, you know, and rock it out and not give up till you win or you die. You know, that is available to anybody. And so this whole kind of new project that I'm developing now is like, I really want to be able to share that with people. I really want to see a lot of other people bring their dreams to life and see what kind of crazy cool things can be created by motivated and motivated and persistent people.
That's great.
With imaginations.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
So thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for the invitation. I'm glad we got to catch up.
Absolutely. Say hello to Mr. Jack Morwood for me.
I will do.
Okay. Love you, sis.
Good to see you. Love you, bro.
Ciao.
Bye.
The Daniel Cleland Podcast.
Thank you so much, my friends, for checking out the Daniel Cleland Podcast. We love you and appreciate you. If you liked what you saw, please like, subscribe, share it up with your friends and loved ones who might benefit from these episodes. And if you'd like to check out more episodes, we've got some links conveniently placed over there. So check it out, share it up. And until next time, be well. Much love to you. Thank you so much.